Hello and welcome, everyone. It's been a while since Tiffany and I have shared space together on LinkedIn Live. We're also live on YouTube. If you're meeting us for the first time, lovely to meet you. Put in the chat where you're joining us from and what you would like to know specifically about what you're going to share today. And a quick round of introductions. My name is Meenakshi Iyer. I am the founder and principal of Northstar Solutions and Services LLC, which is a boutique coaching, training, and consulting, a people development virtual practice. And we are all about unpacking leadership at the messy middle. And I'm a technologist turned leadership coach, and I prioritize working with mid-level leaders, women in tech, and multicultural folks who end up using English primarily only for work. So that's who I focus on, and that's who I love working with, helping them shape their leadership journeys and really becoming comfortable with their own leadership stance, something that comes naturally to them. So that's what I focus on. And I have with me my dear friend and collaborator and co-conspirator, Tiffany Castano. And Tiffany, I'd love for you to introduce yourself as well.
Thank you. Oh, I see Carol's joining. Lashmi's here. Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany Castano, and I am CEO, founder, and my newest title I gave myself, Chief Culture Strategist at CEPHR LLC. We also are a boutique firm because we are values-led, and partners like me actually are values-aligned. So we partner with small to medium businesses across the United States in the for-profit and nonprofit sector to help them establish their teams, their structures, and really, how do we help people come into a workplace that's more human-centric? So that means the processes, the systems, the programs, everything is the right environment so that they can thrive at work. And that's really a lot of fun. So I'm excited to kick off here today.
Absolutely. Tiffany and I first met during the pandemic, 2020, August of 2020. And we just hit it off. We met in an online forum and we connected. I'm physically located in Virginia in the US, and Tiffany at the time was in Pennsylvania. And we just hit it off, and we had so much, just like Tiffany shared just now, we had so much in common, values aligned, and what we were trying to do, bringing one of our core aspects of our work that we do is to really help bring humanity back into the world of work. And so this particular conversation, that's how it started. I had just finished hosting a virtual, what I called a webinar series at the time in May of 2020, focused on the future of work. The title was The Future of Work, a Global Perspective. And then Tiffany and I got talking, and I asked her if she'd be interested in co-hosting this and actually calling it a conference this time. Tiffany said yes, and the rest is history. So here we are, ready to co-host our fifth year together and the sixth year of the conference, the World of Work Conference. And this year, our theme is prioritizing mental well-being in a noisy world. Tiffany, would you like to share about how we came about this topic and what do we have in store? And we also have a few guests back in the backstage with us who will join us in a minute or so.
Excited about that. I think, one of the things that I am so grateful for in our friendship and our partnership is the safe space that we have with each other to talk through challenges and relevant topics of what's happening in the world. And the other piece is that we really do listen. We listen to each other, we listen to community, and really just understand what's going on out there, as well as what we may be feeling and experiencing ourselves. And we try to really bring that value and that impact to other people through that listening. So it's not a conference where we're just like, let's see, this seems like a good topic today. We always want it to be centered. And in the beginning, it was more around International Women's Day. Hi, Poonam. And really just wanted it to be connected because we have this value of supporting women as well. And it's just evolved from there to what else are we hearing as we started moving and talking about various stages of leadership and supporting the community. we discovered, hey, there's a lot of people in burnout, and we experienced it ourselves and began telling our story, which helped other people to normalize it and destigmatize it, which has been just beautiful. And that kind of theme has started to, or has been continuing, in that we did a fall series as well from the prior conference. And it's just really been something that's grown and that people have frankly been hungry for. So it's about meeting the needs of where people are in that aspect of service to the community. So that's what I would add. And then, now we're in this age of, not that we didn't have technology, it's always existed, but now we have AI in the fold as well. And in the state of the world, we have, lots going on in the political area. We have AI disrupting things. We have folks who are wanting a more people-centric workforce, and we have, this return to office, hybrid, remote. What are we doing with this? As well as just who are we when we come through the doors? And so that's what we really wanted to chat about and just build a conference around. How do we give support and tools and actionable, practical resources around that?
Absolutely.
Oh, hi, Tanasha.
Hi, Tanasha. Thank you for joining us live, Tanasha, Carol, Poonam. And folks, as you join, let us know where you're joining us from and what is the one thing that you would like to hear about in the conference that's upcoming in 10 days. So the 6th annual World of Work Conference, the 5th year of us co-hosting it, happening live 11 to 4 Eastern Time on Friday, the 28th of February. And the link to buy your tickets is in the invite. We'll be sharing it throughout our conversation today as well. So we plan to spend about 30 odd minutes with everyone today. And we want to thank everyone that's joined us live. We are currently live on LinkedIn and on Northstar's YouTube channel. And the replay will automatically become available on both of these channels as well. So everyone that's live with us and will watch the recording, we really appreciate your time. And we really hope that you are able to join us at the conference live in 10 days on February 28th. And this year, as we just shared, our focus is on prioritizing mental well-being in a noisy world. And particularly for those of us that have been in the U.S., that are in the U.S., we are aware of a particularly challenging time that we're facing, and I think it's affecting almost everyone in one way, shape, or form. And it's hardly been not even 2 months, and it's been it already feels like a year. So there's a lot going on. So our focus during this conference, and we have a very thoughtfully designed agenda, a plan for the day. We have a couple of talks, we have a panel discussion, and we have a virtual online, a virtual well-being community that has partnered with us before as well. So this is the second time they're coming back to do this work for us. They're going to be here, and actually one of their co-founders is with us and will be joining the stage in 3, 2, 1. Lakshmi, welcome.
Hi, Lakshmi. Thanks for
Good
joining.
Good to see you both.
Likewise. Why don't you tell us about the workshop that you have planned for us? Tell us about the community and what you have planned for us. A sneak peek.
Yeah, well, I won't give too much away because we do want everyone listening to come to the conference. But Anjali and me, we are stewards of this well-being community along with Nicole and Jennifer. And our hope is really to allow everyone to experience some of the well-being practices that some of our favorite well-being practices that we practice in community. We have a very active LinkedIn community that meets every first and third Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, just for 30 minutes. And every time we have a different practice. So we've kind of really selected our favorite practices to bring to the conference. And our hope is that we'll be able to have maybe just some conversation and awareness around the fact that it just takes a few minutes of intentional thinking to integrate well-being into your day. So that's really our hope, and that's what we hope that you take away when you come experience us. But yeah, we're excited to be back, and thank you for welcoming us back into the conference. So we're excited to see how we can really feel the energy of the group.
Absolutely. Thank you. And actually, Tiffany, thank you for answering that question as well. So one of the questions we had here from Carol is, I'd like to know how I can better support the leaders at my organization regarding wellness. So we definitely, Carol, thank you for the question. And that's what the whole conference is about. We want to be we want to serve as a resource for leaders at all levels, regardless of whether you are an individual contributor in your role, whether it's just you that you are, whether it's just you or you have a team. We want to focus on providing tools and strategies for leaders at all levels. And I want to echo what Tiffany put, hit refresh, which is what Lakshmi and Anjali and Nicole and Jennifer, the stewards, that community that they've put together. You should check them out on LinkedIn. And if you don't already follow them, you must consider. And they meet twice a month, as Lakshmi was just sharing. And I love what they do is literally have the audacity to interrupt the week and the day, literally in the middle of it, right? So yeah. Wednesday at noon Eastern. That's one of the segments at the conference will be focused on how might you do something like this as a team. So we hope that the practices Lakshmi and Anjali and the Hit Refresh team will share with us, you are actually able to take that back to your own teams. So I hope that that answers your question for now. If you have more questions, pop them in the chat. Lakshmi, I also want to ask you this. What are you looking forward to? One or two things that you're looking forward to from the conference? Because I know some of your colleagues are also attending. Yeah. So what is it that you are excited about in the conference? Of course, outside of Hit Refresh. Hit Refresh is outside there. Of
Hit Refresh. I would say, just building more awareness across the board on how to make well-being more accessible, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that it's considered, unfortunately, a reward for, it's considered more of a, I don't know, maybe like a reward, like I have to do something to be able to do self-care or take care of myself. But what I really want people to understand between all of the speakers and the panelists and the Hit Refresh practice, that it doesn't take too much to integrate well-being. It's a matter of just, in fact, Anjali and I were just talking about this yesterday, is how can we ask everybody to maybe even think about putting a 15-minute Hit Refresh on your calendar a couple times a day. It takes something so small as that, right? So coming back to your question, I would say really building awareness of the fact that we need to do this for ourselves, and it is a path to high performance. But we all want to be productive, but if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't be productive. We get drained and our creative juices are not flowing. So the more we interrupt our day, and yes, you can join our Hit Refresh community and also dare to interrupt other people's days, invite your team to the Hit Refresh community, and just simple things like that. I mean, you never know how one person can make a difference around them. So that's my hope. And I'm looking forward to really geek out and learn from everybody, which is going to be amazing, and learn some new language that I can take back to my teams and my organization. And we have some, I've been sharing the conference and really hope to have a good representation of our organization, and who knows, what is possible from there.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lakshmi. Tiffany, I have the same question for you. What are you specifically excited about? Actually, let me back up. Why don't you share a little bit more about the talk that you're co-presenting with Kelly?
Yeah, so I'm really looking, in keeping with our theme for the conference, but also on the topic of well-being. Kelly is just wonderful at talking about mental health and being a disruptor herself in that space. And so she and I became partners through those efforts. And we're going to be talking about the US Surgeon General's framework for mental health and well-being in the workplace. So there are 5 pillars that we're going to be talking about, and really looking at how do we connect to each other in the workplace. So I think, related to Carol's question around leaders and wellness. And wellness is about how we connect as community, not just out in community as we all are connected today, but also how are we connecting in the workplace? We need to build connection and community in the workplace for people to really thrive at work. And this is something people need. When we look at the fact that we have distributed teams, how do we really pull them together? And how do we get creative and supportive about that process to pull them together so that they feel psychologically safe? What are the pillars around that? So we want to look at harmony in the workplace and protecting people from harm, which means even our workplaces being set up as an environment to be inclusive, to help people feel like they belong. So many times we find that people are hired, for their background, or they're hired for just different reasons that may feel a bit more performative. And then they get there and the environment's not set up for them. And I'm talking tools as well. So Kelly and I have put together a talk. We have an article that we can link as well that we did around this framework to really bring practical tips to our HR and culture community, but also to leaders across the world, really, to understand how we really make those connections and how we bring well-being to the forefront of the conversation to be more human-centered, which is the premise of the work, the framework from the U.S. Surgeon General. And it's not really been widely talked about. We also did a talk about it on the Power of Intentional Partnerships, which is a mini series I host for partners, which Meenakshi's been on too. And so really just looking forward to getting that message out there. And I, like Lakshmi, I'm going to have my biggest pen and notebook out because I am so ready to nerd out and learn from everyone.
That was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, I've been following that work that you and Kelly had done. It first came out in a written form, correct? You've written a paper? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
I'm very excited to learn more about that. And also, this is also another way we not only Tiffany and I ourselves, but build meaningful connections as we sort of merge our networks, because all the speakers are from our personal networks. We also help our speakers get to know one another and, so expand the network that way in a very meaningful manner. And I wanted to focus on design principles of the conference, and we have another speaker joining us backstage. So stay tuned. In just a few minutes, we'll have another speaker join us as well. So a few design principles of the conference. We've always been intentional about having a very clear call to action. And as Tiffany was sharing earlier, our topics are very timely and sometimes even ahead of its time. I think when we talked about burnout in 2023, our theme was burnout, the silent pandemic. And I wish we had trademarked that phrase, because then it became the thing in 2024. Everybody was talking about
everywhere.
It. Yes. But we also, and then in 2024, Tiffany and I, we talked about reframing leadership, and each of us delivered a masterclass on that theme. The whole idea being that it's with the way the ways of working are changing and how technology is becoming an integral part of our ways of working, how leadership needs to shift with that. And also the fact that this is one of the first times in modern history that 5 generations of people. So in your workforce, you have folks from anywhere in their early 20s, late teens, early 20s, all the way up to 75 plus years old. So this is the first time we have multiple generations working together, and each has a very different relationship with technology. Each has a very different relationship with what they value at work, and their own life experience with with geopolitical challenges. So some of us are young enough that we've never known or seen war, and some of us are old enough that we've seen many of them, right? So all of that shapes how we show up in our workplace and how we interact with one another in the environment. So those are some things we focused on last year, and then this year we realized that it was perhaps time to revisit and pick up from where we left off on the burnout conversation, and really talk about it in the context of how technology is crowding our world and how it's making it very, very noisy. And one of the skills that's really coming up, bubbling to the top, is around people needing to know how to differentiate between signal and noise. And particularly those of us in people leadership roles, how might we do that? Because if we don't do that for ourselves, we won't be in a place to help our teams. There's so much coming at us. So how do teams know what is the one thing or two things that they need to focus on? And that, to me, is the ability to separate noise and separate signal from noise is the most important life and leadership skill that's bubbling up to the top, and whether or not we use technology, right? So that's something that we will be focusing on this year. And while the other speaker joins us from the backstage, we just want to give you a quick rundown of the agenda. So we're going to start off with helping people get to know one another a little bit. And that goes back to our other design principle of really having a boutique event. So we cap our attendance at 100 to 150 on purpose, so that our intention is that, and our hope is that everybody who attends walks away with at least one genuine connection from the event. So that's why it's a small event on purpose, and there's always a call to action for each of our events. And there's a couple of you here who are listening live right now who have attended all of our events all of these years. So we are so grateful for the support that people like you give us and the inspiration that you give us to continue doing this work. So we'll start off with a welcome message, and then we are going to dig right into Tiffany and Kelly's talk. And then we take a break, and then we'll dig into a panel discussion. And three of our speakers, Angela Nguyen, Christian Vinceno, and Future Kane, will be joining us for the panel discussion. And that's the other thing. We have intentional space between all the sessions, because we don't want the conference around mental well-being and burnout and all that to be a cause of it. So there is a lot of space, and spaciousness is another aspect that we'll be talking about. After which I'll be sharing my thoughts on a personal practice that I've called Pause with Purpose. It's a reflective practice, but there's a lot more that goes into that. So that's what I'll be sharing. So there's a tool that I'll be sharing that's a takeaway, and also the whole concept and what is it that you can do to make that practice your own. And then we have Lakshmi and Anjali sharing their hit refresh nuggets with us. And then we have our closing keynote delivered by none other than Sally Clark, who's a burnout author, researcher, and speaker. And we are really excited because she's going to share something that is going to be public for the first time, results of a longitudinal study that she's been doing for the last 5 years. And she'll be joining us all the way from Australia. So we're very excited about that. And there's a lot of our friends of the community who will be joining us as well as part of the audience. So that's about it. I know I said a lot, so I'm going to pass it to Tiffany to share a few more snippets.
Thanks. I think the only one thing I want to add on is it just keeps bringing it back to even Carol's question, right? I love that question, and well, maybe it's a statement, but basically, and I love that that's on Carol's mind, and it should be on all of our minds. But just to even in hearing you talk about the tools that you're going to share, all the agenda items that we have prepared for the community, it's just going to be amazing, and it really centers at how do we pull these things into, practical daily things, practical weekly things, so that they are actionable and they're sustainable, right? That's one of our things that is very important to us. We all know we've been to the conference and we get all the information and then we're exhausted by the end and we don't take it back. So we want people to use it. We want people to be able to apply it as soon as they get back to their time at work. And really to make those connections that we actually talked about. So even in this quick chat, I hope that there are some things you can pull out in terms of what might be useful to bring back to the workplace.
Absolutely. Great. So we have another speaker join us, Christian. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Christian.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hi,
Yes, we can hear
can.
you.
Hey, but you can't see me, so not sure. I've been having some tech issues, so
Welcome to the club. Oh, they kicked him out.
Oh, yes.
Maybe in trying, he kicked himself from the stage.
Yes. He's also from the West Coast.
Oh, nice. I haven't had a chance to meet him, so.
Yeah.
oh, that's a bummer. Okay,
That is a bummer.
What I can try to do is log in from my phone.
Okay.
And so I'm sorry for the interruption.
No, not at all.
Keep chatting.
Yes.
Tech. It's tech, right? Like it's part of the.
Yeah.
Does anyone?
I guess that's good practice for the conference, right?
Yeah.
Hey, get it together, Christian.
We don't judge. We meet people where they're at. That is something that's very important.
Yes. We'll move you backstage so that you can figure this out and join us back.
Yes, without the pressure of us staring at you.
Yes. See you in a bit.
Okay. So
That's funny.
And folks, if you're just joining us, welcome. This is a preview of our annual conference, World of Work conference. The theme this year is prioritizing mental well-being in a noisy world. And we are hoping that this conference is happening in 10 days, Friday, February 28th. 11 to 4 Eastern time, and you can join us from wherever you are. It's hosted on Zoom. This preview is to help you just get a sense of what to expect. And we'd also love to hear from you if you have questions so that we can incorporate that in our discussions and in our presentations. So we are looking forward to those as well. And I know Christian is joining us in a few minutes. So while we wait, I wanted to ask you, back to you, Tiffany, if you wanted to highlight maybe one or two of the potential takeaways for leaders, particularly from your talk and overall through the conference.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And one thing before we forget to mention is we were able to get 4 HRCI credits for the conference. So if you're needing credits, tell your friends, and they're available for you. So really excited about that. Just to, we really believe in giving back and making this a meaningful experience. And while it takes us probably 3 weeks to come down from the excitement, from learning together and doing all the things, it's really just a precious opportunity to know that we continue year over year to add more value. I and Kelly, I know I can speak for her. I just met with her today. We were doing a little bit of a run through and really looking forward to how do we bring this conversation forward. So for leaders, often what we hear in our HR and culture space is that people feel stuck. There's so much happening and it's moving so rapidly, hence noisy world, that they don't have time to put a strategy in place. We're reacting versus responding. And so we want to leave you with some actionable takeaways. Literally, they have each actions. We're putting together a toolkit as we speak. And the article itself is a tool and a resource that you'd be able to take away. It's out there on LinkedIn right now with those said actions, but we're going to bring a little bit of a twist to it as well. I'm really looking forward to that. I think one of the things that we look at is that when it is very noisy, as leaders, we have decision fatigue. We have a million things coming our way. Our leaders, I have people in my office every week telling me the stresses, the demand. I've now coined it demand culture of all the things that are coming at us, which, Sally's report will help share with us from her research, but then also from a practical, how do I talk to my folks? What are the things that I need to be thinking about? And so we really want you to take away some strategies from that as well, which will empower you to be able to lead your teams. And we all need to be self-led too. I know, Meenakshi, you talk a lot about that as well. So really looking forward to that as takeaways and much more. But those are probably my two favorites that will come from this talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tiffany. All right. Before I share a couple of other takeaways for both individuals and teams, I think we have Christian ready to go. So drum roll, please.
There's your
Yay!
Hello.
This is for real this time. I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Christian.
No, thank you for having me. And it's just, listening to all of you talk, it's already giving me, all these good vibes, and it's, contributing to the excitement of being part of this. And I just really appreciative, not just, to be invited to be part of this, but that you're choosing to use your time and your energy to pour into this, because that's something that you can do, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy, and takes a lot of work, and takes a lot of intention. So thank you for doing that, because it's we can all benefit from it.
Absolutely. So appreciate that, Christian. And I'm so glad our paths have crossed thanks to Tiffany. Now all of us get to meet you and get to know you better as we go along, prepping for the event and also on the day of the conference. So Christian, I'm going to share, I'm going to highlight you on the stage in a second, but I just want to share with everyone that Christian is one of our panelists alongside Angela and Future, and together we'll be delving into the main theme of the conference, prioritizing mental well-being in a noisy world. And Christian, I invite you to share a little bit about yourself. Not everything. We want people to come back on the 28th and hear more from you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us why you said yes to joining us for the conference.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then what's the only one thing that you're going to take into it in the panel? Over to you.
All right. This is you're putting a hot topic here, asking someone with ADHD to be concise and not give the whole life story. So I got this. So, the reason why I said yes is, interestingly enough, it was really because of my connection with Tiffany. And over the last few years, we've become friends and offline. And the way it started when I started out on LinkedIn, I just didn't know anyone. And somehow, there's this, a lot of things happen organically if we let them to on social media, and especially on LinkedIn. And somehow I just kept seeing Tiffany's content, and even though we were not connected at the time, it just, every time her content drew me. And so we connected, and we started chatting and messaging, and the reason why Tiffany's, sorry, I'm feeling a little weird to talk about you, Tiffany, in the third person. I don't know why I'm doing this. I think because I don't see on my screen right now, so it's that's what's happening. But it's there was so much coming from the heart with all of your content, Tiffany, and that's what draws me in the interactions that I have with people in general. So that's what really started things, and then you were still, and I can't remember if you were doing this with Meenakshi at the time, but you had some of the talks during the pandemic. You had those, I think it was Friday talk or something. I can't remember if it was
yes, that was someone else. Yeah.
So I attended a couple of those, and it was just wonderful. And it's, it takes a lot to be in a meeting and feel safe, and have people talk about vulnerable things and still feel safe and feel like everybody's feeling safe, and you were able to do that. You were able to create that space, and so it just reinforced my connection with you, and I was really grateful for being able to be part of that space. And so when I saw your email, actually, inviting me to the conference, I actually thought it was spam at first. Because I thought, who wants me to talk at some conference that I haven't heard of? And then suddenly I thought, oh my gosh, this is Tiffany. And immediately I thought, I don't know what this is about, but I'm going to say yes. Because if you trust me enough to to be part of this, then I absolutely want to be part of it. So this was a long introduction to how we got connected and why I said yes. But that's some of the backstory. It's a lot based on who people are, and I think looking at projects that align with our values and that align with what we prioritize. So that's what happened for me. So thank you again for inviting me. And in terms of what I can bring, it's something that I've been reflecting a lot since getting the invitation to be part of the panel. It's I work with parents who are neurodiverse, or parents who are parenting a child who's neurodivergent, often ADHD or autism, and I have to, and it leads, my perspective is really looking at things through the neurodivergence lens, because it adds certain dynamics that are not always there for more neurotypical folks. And so in the workplace, there's anything from whether you're an employee, whether you're a leader, whether if you are neurodivergent, or if you're a parent with neurodivergent kids, that's going to create a lot of dynamics, a lot of specific dynamics. When I work with my clients, many of them stress out because they've had to have more appointments for their kids than the average parent, or the average, and they have to take their kids to occupational therapy session, to speech therapy session, to visual therapy session, to tutoring, to whatever the case is, and so that can create certain dynamic that maybe other parents are not always aware of or dealing with. And being neurodivergent is going to create certain landscape that is going to present some challenges and some strength if we are if we know ourselves that well enough, and so I will definitely be talking about that on the panel. And I think one thing that I really want to explore during the panel is how it all starts with self-awareness. Because whether you're leading a team, whether you're leading an organization, or whether you're at any level that you are in the company, in order to advocate for yourself or advocate for the people who work for you, you really need to know yourself. You really need to know what you need and look at what's being provided. And most of the time it's going to be a gap. It's going to be a huge gap. It's a matter of figuring out how to close that gap and get a little more, get a little closer to what you need. But, brief example, I was in many years ago, I took a job, and it was, I was given an office at first, on my first day there, that was very close to the waiting room, and was going to be a lot of noise. And I knew myself at the time enough to know that it was going to be a huge negative impact on my work and on my ability to focus. So it was also tied to being in a position where I could advocate for myself, not just also because I knew myself enough, but because I wasn't just I had some privilege. had some privilege to be able to ask for that, which, I recognize that not everybody is going to be in that position, but I was able to explain to my boss, said, look, I'm not trying to be difficult, but basically painted a picture where she realized it was to her best interest that, to find an office that was going to be more quiet, because I was going to give more better results. But it started with myself knowing myself well enough and being able to articulate well enough what the issue was, what the challenge was, and trying to look for a solution. But so self-awareness will definitely be on one of the topics.
Thank you for sharing that, Christian.
You're welcome.
So glad that you are part of our speaker lineup.
Me too.
What are you looking forward to taking away, Christian?
I'm sorry?
What are you looking forward to taking away?
For myself?
Yeah.
It's a really good question. I think it's, when I transitioned from being working as an occupational therapist to working as a parent coach and returning to working for myself, I thought, okay, I have to, obviously I have to make sure that I have enough income to support myself. But part of the vision was I also want to be able to get involved in projects, whether they will pay me or not. I want to get involved with projects that will be meaningful to me, that will be fun, that will feel good. And feeling good for me is, usually tied to doing something meaningful, feeling like I'm helping to, move the needle toward greater well-being for other people or whatnot. And so being involved in this project fits exactly with the original vision that I had. This is one of these projects where I feel like, yeah, I want to do it because this is so meaningful, and this is, this could make me feel great about doing this.
That's very meaningful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Absolutely. We had Carol here saying thank you for the preview. Once again, thank you everyone that joined us live for your comments and your questions. And you'll be able to catch the replay. And again, thank you to everyone that'll watch the replay as well. And we hope you'll join us on the 28th, again, 10 days from today. And right about this time, Christian, we'd be in our after party, or maybe in our after party, 6 o'clock Eastern, almost. I know we're laughing and joking at the moment, but the theme is nothing could not be further from that. Yeah. So we really want to focus on help you remember some of the very simple, small, but very impactful things that you can do for yourself as individuals, and you can do it as leaders of your teams, so that together we can really help prioritize mental well-being in a noisy world, destigmatize the focus on mental health and wellness. And each of us here today on stage, and also all of our speakers, we have our own personal stories around how we have come to this point where we have learned the hard way to understand that well-being is physical and mental and emotional, and you can't do one without the other. So that's our hope, that you're able to walk away with that understanding, and also simple and very easy to stick to next steps that you can take back into your own personal and team leadership practices. I'm going to close out by asking all my guests here to just share their parting thoughts, and then we'll call it a wrap after that.
I guess this is the part where I say, I'll go. I'll take the pressure off as co-host here. I just, one of the things, as you were sharing that, Meenakshi, I am sitting in deep reflection and gratitude of just how grateful I am for these speakers. Thank you all for being in community with us. And this is it is a labor of love. But we are proud to have invited folks who truly care about this. We don't just randomly find people on the internet. We find people who are values aligned, and every single one of these folks walks their talk. And we are very selective about who we ask to join us on stage and into who we bring into this community. And just thank you all for all you do and for what you're going to bring to this conference. I am just jazzed up at the thought of bringing good thought leadership and very progressive thought leadership into this conversation, but not with a focus on here's me, I'm the speaker, from the heart, right? Meenakshi actually always talks about leading with head, heart, and hands. And every single one of our speakers, I am confident you will feel that at the end of this. So if you have not gotten your ticket, I'm going to say it one more time. Bring your friends, bring yourself, your whole self. And it's just a wonderful experience. It may sound like I'm saying that as a pitch, but we leave with like just our souls warmed up even more. So those are my parting thoughts, and we'd love to welcome you to the conference next week, 10 days.
I can go next.
Yeah.
I am so excited, especially just listening to both of you and now having had a chance to hear Christian. I really can't wait for next week. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of the folks from my organization there. So we can, as I said, take some of that language back into our organization and build more awareness of really what it takes to thrive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel it's always that hitting refresh, which is the community I represent. It's not a reward for productivity. It's a necessity for us to be, to alive and to be alive and to thrive in this world. And so I really hope that everybody gets a chance to grab that ticket, because it's not too many left. So grab your ticket and join us, because it's just going to be a heartful 5 hours, and I'm probably going to want it to last all day and all weekend, but you can only have so much fun with all the lovely people. So yeah, I'm so excited for today, just after today's conversation, for next week. So, and I'm losing my words, so you can tell I'm really excited.
Thank you, Lakshmi. The good thing is you can keep the party coming, because one of the things is community, and the party does keep going. So if you're in for that, that's another reason to get a ticket.
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you.
I'll go next.
Thank you.
So, it's really my hope for this conference that there will be at least one person, and hopefully many more, who will be inspired and empowered to take their well-being, their mental health to the next level. Because from my personal experience, I've worked in this field, mental health, neurodivergence, my entire life. I've had hundreds of hours of therapy and done all sorts of, therapeutic, well-being, personal growth type of things. And of course, I'm still learning and I'm still discovering. And there's still times where there's a lesson that presents itself that I know has presented itself thousands of times in my life and that I have addressed, but somehow that just represents itself. And it helps to hear it again. And there's a level of, when you listen to people live or even if it's recorded, but just watching them on screen and hearing them, there's an energy that you don't get through motivational quotes. There's, that you don't get through ChatGPT. It's that, I'm stuck at work. What should I do? I'm stressed. I can't sleep at night. You'll get some good advice, but it doesn't have that extra energy that comes from human interaction. And so, and we're feeling it already. Just from today, with the four of us, we're feeling energized, we're feeling excited, we're feeling it's just from that, emotions are contagious from a neurological standpoint. Thanks to our mirror neurons, and so that's my hope, that people who will attend will hear something that they need to hear again, or maybe for the first time. And even if they don't know where to start, if they're in a toxic job, or if they're in a job that they feel is not quite toxic, but it's just, is it the right one, where they'll somehow feel empowered to regroup, with themselves and really check in and think, okay, take inventory of what's going on, take inventory of how they're feeling, how their work is impacting them positively, negatively, and what isn't, what do they have control over to, is it about advocating for themselves? Is it about setting more boundaries, or is it about understanding themselves better? Is it getting the hell out and looking for a different job, or is it getting, whatever the situation is? But that's my hope for the conference.
Thank you both so very much. That was beautiful. All right. I feel the energy, and I'm like, okay, can we just get straight to the conference from here?
I know, emotions are contagious. That's my takeaway today.
Yes. So 10 days, 28th of February, Friday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time in the US. You can join us from anywhere. The ticket info is all over LinkedIn, and it's also attached to the show notes of this live stream. And Tiffany, please remind everyone about the HRCI credits.
Yes, so 4 HRCI credits will be available if you attend with us live for the day. We will make sure that the information on the program ID and all of those things is available during the conference, at the end, of course, because that's how we have to be ethical. And we really look forward to welcoming you there. And even if you're not a leader, we are all self-led. And so there's something for everyone at this conference. When we talk about well-being, it impacts everyone. So we hope that you see yourselves in this agenda and the content that we've built and that these wonderful speakers have told us about today.
Absolutely. Thank you all so very much. Take care of yourselves and be well. And remember that regardless of whatever is going on around you, there's always that one little thing that is in your control. It just takes effort and self-compassion to pause and find that, and then find the next thing that's in your control. So with that, we bid farewell for today, and we'll see you all. We'll have you join us on the 28th, 11 a.m. Eastern time. See you then. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.